when we talk about nightmare bacteria, what we're talking about are bacteria that are especially difficult to treat, right? We either have very limited number of antibiotics left to treat these infections, or in some cases, we don't have any antibiotics at all. So they're dangerous from that standpoint. They pose a very serious risk to patients who get these infections. And they can also spread. And when they spread, they can do it in two ways. Either the bacteria themselves can spread from one person to another, or they can spread their resistance genes, the weapons that they use to destroy our antibiotics. They can share those genes between different bacteria as well. And that's what creates this kind of nightmare scenario where they're not only very difficult or in some cases impossible to treat, but they can also be spread from person to person or can share that resistance between other types of bacteria, potentially making the problem even bigger. The people who are at most risk for these infections are the people who really can least afford to develop infections that are very hard to treat. There are patients who are in hospitals, who are in nursing homes, many of whom have weakened immune systems, many of whom have devices that we have in them that are necessary for delivering medical care. They have catheters in their bloodstreams or in their urine, or they're on ventilators. Those are the types of patients who are at highest risk for these infections. We tend to see these infections not out in the community in our clinics. We tend to see them in hospitals and in nursing homes. And those are the places where we tend to see these very, very serious types of infections. They are rare, and the goal is to keep them rare. We do know that if we don't respond, resistance becomes more common, and that's something that we've seen over and over again. We always encourage people to maintain control of any chronic illnesses they have, things especially like diabetes that can predispose you to infections. And of course, getting recommended vaccines, taking those steps to keep you healthy is a great way to avoid getting an infection with a resistant organism.